I'm Paul, and in this video, we'll be talking about Ahyeong, who was 33 years old. She was a Korean influencer with more than 250,000 followers on Instagram. She also made videos on YouTube, but her main job was as a streamer on the platform Africa TV. Ahyeong seemed to be a very happy woman, living the dream of being an influencer, but unfortunately, her life wasn't as perfect as it seemed. In March 2023, Ahyeong posted a photo on Instagram where she said she would stop doing live streams for a while because she wanted to have a more private and normal life. She disappeared from social media, and unfortunately, months later, her body was found in another country. It's a very sad case. The investigation is still ongoing, but I'll give you all the details that are known so far. This is the terrible story of Ahyeong. Ahyeong was born in South Korea. Her content was very diverse. Sometimes she posted outfits, beauty products, did vlogs about her daily life, but she also posted photos that, by Korean standards, were scandalous or provocative. For this reason, many of her followers were men who became obsessed with her to the point that Ahyeong felt harassed and had stalkers. When she announced that she was going to take a break from social media, her friends messaged her to see if she was okay. She said that she had a stalker who was bothering her and she didn't feel safe. Her friends weren't too surprised by this, since it wasn't the first time Ahyeong had gone through a similar situation, but this time it was much more serious, so much so that she decided to leave the country and travel to Cambodia. She didn't give many details about her stalker. We don't know how bad the situation was, but it was clearly very serious if she didn't feel safe in her own country. She went to Cambodia, where one of her closest friends lives. She's also Korean, but she moved to this country with her husband. Their identities were not revealed either. All that's known is that they lived in Cambodia in a very luxurious apartment, and that Ahyeong trusted them a lot. On the second day of her trip, June 3rd, 2023, Ahyeong was caught on street surveillance cameras. She is seen walking very calmly. Around 12 p.m., she is seen entering a small medical clinic. The owners of this clinic are a Chinese couple, who also perform the procedures. They are a 30-year-old man and his 39-year-old wife. What's suspicious about this place is that they offered several types of medical procedures. Some were focused on Chinese alternative medicine, which relies more on herbs than on medication, but they also offered surgeries, pediatrics, and gynecology. It was a very small place. The neighbors were always suspicious because instead of looking like a medical clinic, it looked more like a small store or pharmacy. They offered many specialties, but didn't have the space to actually practice them. There weren't any areas designated for the different specialties. Everything was done in the same office, which looked like a simple room. Worst of all, the so-called specialists were the owners, the couple, who weren't doctors and didn't have any kind of certification. According to their statements, they learned medical procedures because their relatives were doctors and helped them, so they had practice, but not the education, which is very dangerous. Let me repeat the services they offered: surgery, pediatrics, and gynecology. How are you going to perform surgery on someone if you're not a surgeon? Neighbors of the clinic mentioned that they really didn't usually have patients or clients. There are several theories about this place and what happened to Ahyeong, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Ahyeong was inside the clinic for between an hour and an hour and a half. We don't know what happened inside, but she left and walked to her friend's apartment, which was about 10 minutes away. The next day, June 4th, around 4 p.m., Ahyeong leaves the apartment where she was staying and walks again toward the clinic, but she's wearing the same clothes as the day before. Again, we don't know what happened inside the clinic, but in the footage from the street security cameras, you can see that from 4 o'clock when she goes in until 5:52 p.m., no one is seen entering or leaving the clinic. Then, at 5:52 p.m., the clinic door is closed, which is very strange because this isn't the clinic's normal closing time. They usually close later, and they never close if there's a patient inside. Then, at 6:12 p.m., a woman is seen leaving the clinic. It's believed that she is the owner's wife. It looks like she's watching the street, like she's checking out everyone around, looking from side to side. Her behavior seems suspicious. And after 3 minutes, she goes back into the clinic. A few hours later, the husband leaves the place on foot, and around 9 p.m., he returns to the clinic on a Vespa scooter. He picks up his wife, they close the clinic, and leave. but Ahyeong is never seen leaving. 4 hours later, at 1 in the morning, a blue Prius arrives at the clinic. The wife is seen getting out from the passenger side. She goes into the clinic while the husband parks the car in reverse. He positions it so that the car is blocking the entrance, and from the security camera you can't see what's happening, but it's speculated that they put Ahyeong's body in the trunk. A few minutes later, the wife gets back in the car, and they drive away from the scene. Later, that same car was caught by other security cameras near a construction site, about 40 minutes away from the clinic. This car passes by the construction site 5 different times, which is very suspicious because it seems like they were watching to see if anyone was there or to check if it was the right place to dump the body. It was mentioned that the couple knew about this site because they used to go fishing frequently near the construction area. They probably knew the area well, knew which days or at what times it was deserted. The next day, June 6th, one of the construction workers was inspecting the area when he noticed a bundle wrapped in a traditional red rug. It was tied up with cables. The bundle was in what looked like a well or a large puddle. There was water, but the water didn't cover it completely. At first, he thought it was construction material or trash that someone had dumped and that the rain had washed into this well. But as he got closer, he realized that because of its large size, that didn't seem possible. It seemed like someone had thrown the bundle there on purpose. Then, when he got even closer, he could see a lock of wet hair sticking out of the rug, and he also saw a swollen foot. When he saw this, he got so scared that he started to whine. He went to find the nearest phone and called the police. When the detectives and forensic doctors arrived, they secured the crime scene, removed the cables, and unwrapped the rug, where they unfortunately discovered the body of a woman. She was wearing a black t-shirt, but her underwear was inside out, as if she had put it on backwards. The press arrived quickly at the scene. They interviewed the witnesses, who said that the woman's face was very, very swollen. She seemed unrecognizable. She also had some marks, like pricks or needle marks on her buttocks, as well as on her hands. They mentioned that she had wounds that could have been caused by intravenous injections. The man who found her said it looked like she had been hit with something. The press said it was a terrible, very violent crime, and that the woman even showed signs of torture. But the authorities did not confirm this. In fact, they said the opposite, that the wounds did not seem to be that serious, and that the body was indeed in an advanced state of decomposition due to the weather conditions. It's a tropical climate, so it's very hot, humid, there's rain, and the body was found underwater. So all of this speeds things up. And also, since it was outdoors, all of this accelerates decomposition. They mentioned that the witnesses were very shocked when they saw the body, and that's why they were exaggerating, because obviously seeing a body is very shocking, but also because they don't have any forensic science knowledge. The detectives also mentioned that the victim's belongings were not found, so they couldn't identify her. They didn't know if it was someone local, someone from outside the country. They only knew it was a woman around 30 years old, but soon after, they managed to identify the body thanks to her fingerprints. Then they traced Ahyeong's steps to build the case. That's how they checked the security cameras and found the Chinese medical clinic. When they spoke with the owner, he confessed to being responsible for disposing of the body, but he has changed his statement several times. His first confession was that Ahyeong entered the clinic. He requested an injection of Chinese serum, which helps boost your immune system. He said it was a simple procedure and that he had done it several times before without any problems. But when he injected Ahyeong, she started having convulsions until she died. The owner said he got really scared because it was a low-risk injection. It's like getting a vitamin shot and nothing bad should happen. And he had never seen a reaction like this before. He assumed that Ahyeong had a medical condition or allergy she hadn't told him about, and that's why she died. But according to the owner, even though he was very scared, he couldn't call an ambulance or the police because he was operating without a license or medical certification. He was afraid they would shut down the clinic and put him in jail, so he decided to get rid of the body. He said he was truly sorry, but he acted out of fear because he was very scared and didn't want to lose the clinic. He didn't want to go to jail, especially since they had just had a baby. He couldn't afford to lose the clinic's income because it was his only source of money, and he didn't want to risk going to prison either. But then he changed his story. He said that when Ahyeong arrived, she was already feeling unwell, already had symptoms, and seemed to be sick. He said she was trembling, that she looked very anxious and nervous, and she said she was very tired, but that she still wanted to get the treatment. He told her no, that he couldn't inject her with anything because she wasn't feeling well, and Ahyeong showed him her arms, and she already had some marks, as if she had injected herself with some substance. Ahyeong asked if she could rest for a moment and lay down on one of the stretchers, while the owner was playing a game on his phone. He said he wasn't paying much attention to Ahyeong because he assumed she had fallen asleep and he was on his phone. But when he looked up, he saw her lying there with no vital signs. Ahyeong was unconscious, and she had foam coming out of her mouth, and she wasn't breathing. So in his first statement, he admitted that Ahyeong died because of something he injected. But in his second version, he said that she had already injected herself with something before arriving at the clinic. But in the security camera footage, you can see Ahyeong walking just fine. She didn't seem to be under the influence of any substance. And even if his version were true, he would still be guilty of negligence for not calling the authorities and for disposing of the body. The owner mentioned that he is the only one responsible and that his wife wasn't even at the clinic that day. But later, the authorities told him he was lying and that they had the recordings, and it was clear his wife was inside the clinic. So he changed his story again. He said that his wife was there, but that she never even met Ahyeong, never saw her. She was in the back of the clinic taking care of their baby. He also mentioned that when they went to the clinic in the early morning, his wife still didn't know what was happening. And while his wife was in the bathroom, he put the body in the trunk. Then he drove and dropped his wife off at a restaurant. Let's remember, it was 1 a.m, and even so, according to him, he left her alone at the restaurant and told her he'd come back for her. He drove to the construction site where he left the body, went back to the restaurant for his wife, they went home, and she never found out what had happened. This sounds unbelievable. I think it's almost impossible that his wife didn't know about this, that she didn't realize her husband had a body in the trunk. But I understand that if he's lying, it's to protect his wife and daughter. Maybe he thought that if they were going to end up in prison, it would be better if only one of them took the punishment, so his wife could keep taking care of the baby. Either way, lying in an investigation is not only wrong, it's also illegal. Currently, the couple's under investigation, and they're being held, but they haven't been officially charged yet, because in Cambodia, the criminal procedure is different. You don't get arrested until the officers have finished the entire investigation and have gathered all the evidence, and they have 3 years to do this. It's mentioned that they're being held, but I'm not exactly sure what that means. Sorry, I couldn't find the exact information because most of it was in Korean, Chinese, or the language of Cambodia, which I can't remember right now. My apologies. And I don't speak any of those languages, so I'm sorry if the information isn't that complete. Most of the information I got was from English language websites. So maybe some information got lost because, for example, it went from Korean to English to Spanish. The point is that they're being held. I don't know if this means they're under arrest, under house arrest, or on probation. The cause of death still hasn't been revealed because when the case happened, Young's family refused to allow an autopsy. It seems suspicious that his own family wouldn't want to know the cause of his death, but apparently in many Asian communities, they don't like autopsies because it's believed to be disrespectful to the body. And I did it. It's a very invasive procedure, but necessary in cases like this. In some countries, an autopsy is done no matter what, regardless of the cause of death. In some others, it's only done if there's suspicion or if it happened during a crime, like in this case. After a month, Young's family authorized the autopsy, but the results were not made public. This is all the information available so far. But before we finish the video, let's talk about some theories. I want to emphasize that these are just theories. This story became very popular. From the moment the body was discovered, it was national news. But when it was revealed that it was a Korean influencer, it became worldwide news, which caused a huge stir on social media, and that's why there are so many theories. Although I want to say that the opinion about the case on social media was very negative. Many people were blaming Young for what happened to her, and I disagree with that. It's never the victim's fault. What happened to her wasn't her fault and she didn't deserve it. The first theory is that Young was very depressed. She was sad and afraid of her stalker, so she started to neglect herself. For example, she started neglecting her hygiene. That's why she was wearing the same clothes as the day before, because she was so sad that she couldn't shower or change. It's believed that the Chinese clinic was actually a business where they sold substances but disguised it as alternative medicine. In case their merchandise was inspected, they could justify having herbs or strong medications that could also be used recreationally. There are several cases where Koreans travel to other countries with the sole intention of taking substances, because in Korea, they are very illegal. Even marijuana, which is already legal in many parts of the world, is still very illegal in Korea. It's not allowed even for medicinal purposes. There are even penalties for its use, and they are very severe. So it's believed that Young went to this clinic to take substances, but maybe he overdosed, and the owners decided to get rid of the body because they knew what they were doing was illegal. That could also explain why there were never any patients seen at the clinic, but the clinic still stayed open. They kept making a living from that. It could also explain the needle marks that Young had on his body. Also, it's suspicious that Young went into this clinic of his own free will because it looks really shady. Young had a lot of money, he earned very well from his influencer job, and he had just bought himself a luxury apartment in an expensive area. So, if he had the resources to go to any clinic, why did he choose this one? Which brings us to the next theory. Young wanted to get a beauty procedure done that's not legal in Korea. Young was an influencer, and because of the type of content she made, being beautiful was a requirement for her job. I want to emphasize that I don't mean this in a negative way, but it's just the reality. If you want to be that kind of influencer, you have to look good. Her fans, especially the men, followed her because of her beauty and her body. In fact, they considered her a bagel. I actually didn't know this term until I was researching for this video. Apparently in Korea, they call women with a baby face and a glamorous body bagel, which in Spanish means baby face and glamorous or voluptuous body. Beauty standards are very high nowadays, especially in Korea, where plastic surgeries are very normalized. It's believed that Young went to this underground medical clinic because she wanted a butt enhancement, but she didn't want implants or a fat transfer. So she went for enhancement injections, which are illegal in Korea. I think they're illegal all over the world, but it's an open secret that these injections exist and that several famous singers and Hollywood actresses have gotten them. It's believed to be a less invasive procedure and the recovery is faster. That's why they choose these injections, even though they're very risky, because recovery from implants or fat transfer can take months, but with injections, it's just a couple of weeks. But it's very, very dangerous, especially if you're in an underground clinic where the people operating aren't surgeons or doctors. This would explain why Jong had needle marks in the gluteal area. The last theory is that Jong did go into the clinic intending to get the immune system treatment, but the owner abused her and took her life to avoid being found out. This could be the reason why she was wearing her underwear inside out. But the owner said he would never do that they could run tests and it would prove he never touched her that way. We'll have to wait for the autopsy results to prove this. I just want to mention that when you have surgery, you have to be completely naked. They give you a hospital gown, but you have to take off your underwear too. I didn't know this until the day I had surgery. The nurse gave me a gown and told me, take off all your clothes, including your underwear. I got really scared because the surgery was on my nose. Why did I have to be completely naked? But the nurse explained to me that it's for hygiene reasons, and that I could keep my underwear on if it was 100% cotton. So now you know, if you're gonna have surgery, wear 100% cotton underwear. All this is to say that if she was having surgery or something similar, this could be the reason why her underwear was on inside out. Maybe, and I want to emphasize that all of this is just a theory, maybe they were performing the surgery, something went wrong, she lost her life, and the owners of the clinic got really scared. So they dressed her quickly, didn't realize her clothes were on inside out, and got rid of the body. Whatever the reason, I hope John gets justice. What happened to her wasn't her fault. It was the fault of the clinic owners for offering services when they're not qualified to do so. It wasn't her fault. She's the victim. But please, if you're gonna get a treatment, surgery, or anything like that, go to professionals. Ask doctors for their license, their certification, do your research, and please don't go to illegal clinics. And that's all the information about this case. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's a tragedy. I feel really bad about what happened to her. Let's hope the trial happens soon and that she gets justice. In the comment section, please let me know your opinion. Tell me what you think about this whole topic, which of the theories you believe, or if you don't believe any of them. I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you want to see more of my content, I invite you to my vlog channel where I pretty much share my whole life with you. It's like you're on a video call with your best friend. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I post more fashion and outfit content. So if you like that kind of content, I'd really appreciate it if you go and follow me. And that's it. I love you all so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now. Take care.